What's going on, guys? So we got a Fault update and a Predecessor update. Now, to be honest, these updates are interesting to say the least. So let's just get right to it. All right, let's go ahead and start off with Fault. Now, the first thing that they actually show us in this 8.1 update is the fact that they're actually releasing skins. Now, they release the Grux Dragon Sage skin, and I'll have these pictures up on the screen for you guys. And as well, they release High State Decker. They release Ritual Sacrifice Grux. And then they also release Snake Tech Enchanter Grim. Now, I will say, I'm almost a bit disappointed as far as the look of Grim and the Grux skins in this case. I did expect, I don't know why, but I almost expected the Grim skin to be a little bit more reflective, as far as the green parts. And then as far as the scales, I expected that to cover like his entire like metallic arm, not just the backside and the front side still metal. So I don't know. Maybe it was just my expectations. I'll go ahead and pull up the original teaser that they had shown so we can put a side-to-side comparison. Maybe it's just me, but I definitely feel like that skin fell a little short there. The Ritual Sacrifice Grux, the designs on them, the paint is interesting, but for me, I honestly would have preferred probably a different color scheme, a little bit more contrast to maybe, make the skin pop a little more. I do really, really like High State Decker. I really like High State Decker. The fact that there is a glowing element to the skin is a genius idea, and that's a great way to make the season pass worthwhile. You have a limited skin, won't ever show up again, but make it a skin that people see it and it's like, God damn, I wish I had that. Not a skin like, oh, I like my other one better. You get what I'm saying? Like, you drop Ritual Sacrifice Grux, and then you got Dragon Sage Grux, and Dragon Sage just looks dope as shit. You follow me there? Like, make it so, just a little advice as far as for Strange Matter Studios. Just, if you need to go that little bit of extra mile just for the season pass and exclusively the season pass, I definitely would, because that's going to be a bread and butter of a lot of the funding, is what I'm guessing. And they want people to use these season passes, so make the skins just a little bit more exclusive than just rare, if that makes sense, wording it that way. Now, they do mention on here that the pick order is no longer based on ping to server, which beforehand, when you joined a match in Fault, it was just first come, first serve. That's how the pick goes. Now it's completely random. Now, that is super interesting. If anything, I want to see how this goes. But I would say if random doesn't work, I definitely would suggest doing something similar to what Smite does. How the first two picks are the players with the highest elo, and then the last three picks are completely at random. That way, the better players got their preferred picks. They'll be able to more than likely carry easier, while the other three players are random. Just an idea, nothing they necessarily have to do, right? They did a bunch of bug fixes on here. You guys know me. I don't cover bug fixes. But Kalari. Now, Kalari, they say she seems to be too slippery of a target after balance changes in 0.7.2. Removing her passive stealth and increasing her Shadow Beel's cooldown, among other things, should leave her more vulnerable while waiting on larger cooldowns. So they're nerfing Kalari as far as her Shadow Beel going invisible, and as far as the cooldown on like her right mouse button. Now, here are the exact details. So on Shadow Beel, it no longer auto triggers on her passive, which I'm not gonna lie, I like that, because a good Kalari player could easily trigger the invisibility at the last second and save it and stuff like that and play like so. When they made it auto trigger to go invisible at a certain health threshold, it just made it a little bit too easy to be Kalari. And then her stealth duration now got decreased to from 12 to 10 seconds maximum. And then her cooldown got increased from 15 at all levels to starting at 20 and then decreasing to 16 at max upgrade. So her cooldown in general got nerfed like crazy. And then her cooldown on her right mouse button, instead of 5 seconds at all levels, now it's at 8 seconds at all levels. So you're not going to be able to spam that dagger as much as you have been before, unless you plan on building cooldown on her, which quite honestly probably wouldn't be a too horrible thing, but you definitely want to make sure that you're doing damage as a Galari, right? And that pretty much concludes our Fault news. Let's go ahead and go into our Predecessor news here. All right, so as far as Predecessor news goes, now they actually posted a pretty lengthy paragraph. I'll go ahead and read some of the key things that they mention here. For example, one of the things they mentioned are feel and responsiveness in Predecessor. They say, we're extremely happy with the feel and the responsiveness of the game. Overall, we think combat mechanics are in a great place. We'll be adding even more elements to this part of the game, but think we've built a great foundation. Some of the areas we're looking to improve is on-hit reactions, impact sound effects, and screen effects. Additionally, we noted the feedback of the game felt a little floaty when jumping and being knocked up, so we'll turn up the gravity a little more to help add more weight to the game. Now, I just like the fact that they're simply saying, hey, this is how we feel about it. This is what we want out of it. We realize you guys give us this feedback, and this is what we're going to do to tailor to that feedback. Smart. They say new map. We've been working on a new map for quite some time. As we mentioned previously, the current map was built mostly to facilitate testing of the core gameplay mechanics and wasn't really indicative of our long-term vision for Predecessor. Some of the things we're looking to address with the new map is making outer lanes more interesting during the laning phase, rotations, and verticality. So letting people know, new map coming that's going to basically change up the laning phases, the rotations, and the verticality, which is a lot of what Sneaky and I talked about in our last Let's Be Honest for Predecessor. And then they do mention game pacing and time to kill, and this is the last one that I'm going to read here because this is also a very important part of Predecessor. They mention, we think time to kill, or TTK, is sitting lower than what we'd like it to be, not by much, but at certain points in the game, it's quicker than we'd like. This was due to the introduction of such large amount of new items and the crazy interactions between them. We'll be adjusting a few things going forward, such as item balance, attack speed, while continuing to use feedback from the community as a way to refine and hone in on pacing that is enjoyed for all. So I like the fact that they are quite frankly just saying, hey, to be honest, at some points of the game, people die just a little bit too fast. That's and they're saying that's our fault. We threw a whole bunch of items, and it's just some of the crazy interactions, like some of these items being built together we never thought about. It's just going a little bit out of hand. So they're going to item balance and tune the attack speed, which was a little bit crazy, and continue to use the feedback from the community because all of that is community feedback. So kudos to Predecessor for listening to that community feedback. Kudos for addressing the community feedback before they start working on it. Kudos for letting the community know, hey, this is what we're going to be focusing on in the next upcoming weeks. Thank you for that feedback. That definitely gives a feeling of, hey, we're listening to you. You know what we're working on. Now we're going to get to work. So kudos to them. Honestly, these updates themselves are game-changing in their own way. We're finally getting skins, those season skins on Predecessor. On Fault. Predecessor is now, just taking in feedback, getting back to work. Now, the question is going to be, where the hell is Overprime? We'll find out later. Till the next video.